that came in the year 2024 called House of Spoils. The story of the second film is very good and you will love it. So you must watch this video till the end, because in the beginning we are shown some women making a mixture of a piece of meat, and she gives him a drink as if she wants to sacrifice him. She is reading all the chats as if they were all, and this scene cuts right here. Then we are shown the story many years later, where we see a chef named Ellen who worked under a master chef named Marcelo. And she was a very talented girl who made any dish, it turned out very delicious. That's why Marcelo liked her work very much. Marcelo's restaurant ran very well because customers kept coming here because the food there was so delicious. After closing the restaurant at night, they all start celebrating because they sold a lot that day. Then Haryana comes to Marcelo and tells him that she wants to tell him something important. Marcelo asks her what she wants to say to him, and she tells him that she is actually leaving her job to open a restaurant in partnership with a businessman named Juventus, where she will make her own dishes and that will be her restaurant. Hearing this, Marcelo tells him that he is ready to give him double salary, but he should not leave his job. But she doesn't listen to him and tells him that her dream is to have a restaurant too, so it is very important for her to leave this job. Marcelo says that Artus is very useless. As a human being, she did not come to his words at all, but Elena does not listen to him and leaves her job. The next morning, Elena arrives at the place where the restaurant was going to open, and the place was in the middle of the forest, and that feeling was very old where there was a lot of dirt. She was surprised to see that house because she had to do a lot of cleaning there. When she goes to the garden, she sees an old lady standing in the distance, but when she comes to the entrance, she sees that the old lady has disappeared. I think that's probably why she's ignoring him. And Andros comes to her and tells her that he will open his new restaurant here and she will be the master chef of this restaurant and he has to run this restaurant. He tells her that his friend has a restaurant nearby, so he will go there to see what kind of dishes are made there. He takes Lena there, which was such a restaurant. So it was in the middle of the forest and there was no shortage of people there. Elena tells him that after all, what is such a thing in this restaurant? Those who come here after wasting so much time. Andra tells him that it does not matter how far the restaurant is. Does it matter what the food tastes like? The taste of food here is very good. That's why people spend their time here and they don't care how delicious it is. Inside, he calls a girl named Lucia who was going to work with him, and he tells Elena that this is Jesus and will work with her. After that, he served dishes at the restaurant. She goes and that dish was very unique, which was very delicious, and Elena becomes very happy after eating it, and she thinks that she will also have to bring some uniqueness in her dishes so that people can also come to her restaurant and eat. Andre tells Elena that tomorrow he is sending a boy to clean the place, so he should get clean there and prepare the restaurant, and he will also bring some guests there. After that, he takes Lucia in his car, and Reina understands that Lucia is probably his girlfriend. She then goes to the house where she checks the drawer at night and finds a Magnus book inside. Actually, a restaurant was opened in that house earlier where the chef was Magnus and this was his book, but suddenly Magnus had disappeared somewhere and no one knew where he had gone. She also looks at many recipes in the Magnesi book, and Magnesi used to be a very good chef, which she liked. Suddenly he heard a noise from the room, and when she goes there, no one sees her. He finds a picture of an old woman in that room because that was the same old woman that we were shown at the beginning. From this, we know that those rituals were held in the park of this house. Suddenly, a window opens in front of her, and she is terrified, and then she takes sleeping pills and goes to sleep. Hello in the morning, when she wakes up, she finds Alvin in front of her because he came to extend his hand in cleaning. Alvin was a local boy who worked as a helper. Now Alvin and he start cleaning up the mill. And then she notices that there are a lot of insects there. She cleans the kitchen completely and then sends Alvin to bring the goods, where Alvin goes by car and brings all the groceries that she was going to make tonight. Only then he gets a call that tells him that today he is going to bring all the guests. So there should be a magic in the dish that is made so that those people come here and give their reviews, and they can also get sponsors so that this restaurant can run well. Hearing this, she understands what she has to do and makes all the preparations in the evening so that the guests can cook. At night, she gets ready to wear a safe coat, but when she opens the two she made, she finds a lot of insects inside. She's surprised to see this and puts it in the dustbin, and then she goes into the freezer where he kept the chicken. There were also many insects inside. All the food that was there was spoiled. Seeing this, she puts them all in the dustbin. Then she goes outside where she sees the flowers in the garden, which was ruined by a rabbit. Then he calls her and tells her that they have to shift dinner now, because the food she was going to cook today has been completely spoiled, but the address tells her that she cannot invite the guests again. They are coming today and they have to do something. She then makes a new list again and sends Alvin to the grocery store, getting stuff there. After a while, when Alvin gets there, he tells her that he didn't find all the stuff. Seafood is not available here, so he brought chicken. Hearing this, Arena gets very angry because now she was completely trapped and she had to impress those guests somehow. After a while, guests begin to arrive and Ariana starts cooking whatever ingredients are in the kitchen. By doing this, she surveys them all the dishes and they like all the dishes very much. But they didn't have some uniqueness at all. That's when Ariana brings Pilaj's dish there, and the sponsor who is eating it sees that there are insects in his food. Seeing this, she hits him on the hand so that his penis falls down, and this sponsor seems to be the root that he gets very angry with. Andre then introduces Selena to a sponsor and a reviewer, who tells Elena that her dish wasn't as good as she thinks. She can't write anything about it in her blog. This there Elena is surprised because all her hard work was gone. After the guests leave, she tries to explain to Andras, but Andras tells her that he is the chef and that it is all his fault because none of his guests could be impressed with his dish. Now she comes back to the kitchen where she is very angry, and when she goes out, she sees the rabbit who she is very angry with. So she takes a knife and chases him to kill him. But then that rabbit takes her away from the garden to another garden where she finds many different kinds of trees and plants, and inside a plant she sees red pepper. Then she breaks it. As he does so, his leg slips so that he falls down and faints. And when her eyes open, she finds the same old lady in front of her who puts her in a grave and starts pouring soil on her, and then Elena's sleep opens because it was a dream. And when she wakes up, she notices that her clothes are completely stained in the mud. Lucia comes to pick her up, and seeing her condition, she asks her what happened to her, so she tells him what he does. Lucia tells her that Andres is calling her. When she goes to meet Andres, he tells her that his sponsor is very angry. That is why she has said that she should find a new chef, and she is surprised to hear that she says how he can do that. She was doing a good job with Marshalls and her salary was also good, and she left everything and came here to open a restaurant, but now he is removing him from the post of chef, which is not acceptable at all. Andras tells her that he can't do anything about it because he has received an order from above, and what he is telling her is that Andras starts leaving there and she asks him for a chance. He told her to give him a week. He will create a menu that will not be available anywhere, and everyone will continue to lick their fingers as soon as they eat his menu. He inwardly tells her that she is willing to give him a week's time, but if she dismisses him again, he will have to quit his job. He also tells her that for a week Lucia will work with him like Susef and she, to help him create a new menu. Now he got this opportunity to prove himself. That's why she goes to the kitchen and sees that red chili in her pocket, and then she starts thinking, what new dishes are they going to make? She starts writing many dishes in her diary, but she doesn't like any dish. And she gets so frustrated that she always scolds Lucia because Lucia didn't like her at all. She makes some dishes throughout the day, but she doesn't like the dishes herself, so she throws them in the dustbin. And now she starts thinking, what should she do? Only then does he see the gardener. And she picks up the chili and starts eating it and likes its taste so much that she understands what to do now. The next morning he goes to the garden. Here she cuts many plants and starts tasting them, and she sees that everything present in that garden is all delicious things, so she collects them all and puts them on the table. And she was going to make some new dishes with her help now. There was also a sign on a tree in that garden, and the same sign is also seen in the picture of that old lady, as she understands that surely that old lady must do something there. But when she goes to the garden, she finds a small hut there, and when she goes inside the cottage, there she finds a lot of medicines, which she understands that the old lady used to collect these medicines here. He also found a book there that had written something about those medicines. There is also a picture of those old ladies who can't understand what they were doing there. And after that, she goes back to the kitchen and starts working and asks him where he got all these herbs from. Then she lies and says that there is a vendor named Sarah from whom he has bought all these things. And she makes a lot of dishes with those medicines, and she sees that all those dishes are very delicious. She also tastes Lucia, so that Lucia also likes her very much, and they both understand what to do now. One day when Elena is sitting outside, she sees a man coming from inside the forest whose clothes were torn and he was injured. Then she goes to that man to talk to him. Then that man runs back to the forest. Whenever Alvin comes in front of him, who tells him that the man often sees him here. Elena asks him if he knows anything about the previous owner of this house, and he tells her that the people of the village used to be very afraid to come here because an old lady lived here and a lot of girls also lived with her. That's why the villagers killed them. But when he asked to kill the old lady suddenly disappeared and no one knew where she went. Alina tells her that the old lady often sees her, and Aliman tells her that he knew the house was haunted, so he wasn't here to work. Now at night, Elena makes a list of all her dishes, and at the bottom she also puts the sign which was the sign of the old lady, that according to her, of the old lady. I was helping him. When she goes out, suddenly the basement door opens, and when she goes into the basement, she sees that there are many wines placed there. Then suddenly a secret door opens from below her, and when she goes inside that room, she finds many things related to black magic. Seeing this, he is very scared. Then suddenly she starts haunting the spirits of that old lady, and she immediately goes out of there. The next day a week was completed, and she feeds the dish she had made to Andreas, and Andreas is very happy after eating all those dishes and tells him that he has never eaten such a delicious dish. He says that he will invite the guests to come here again, and this time he doesn't want any trouble because they will go crazy eating this dish. When she wakes up the next morning, she gets ready because guests were going to come there, and she also gets her kitchen ready. But then Ishara sees in the kitchen that there is a very bad smell, and she finds the man she saw in the forest. She sees that man eating his own hand and is very surprised. Then Anders comes there and takes the man to the hospital, and he tells him that actually he is the same chef who used to work here, but because of some reason he has gone completely crazy and now he has found the police. Now because of this incident, Elena starts to feel that maybe that spirit must have made her crazy, and if she was in contact with that spirit, it would make her crazy too. That is why she throws all the things related to the soul from the kitchen and tells him that she does not need any help from the old man. At night, the spirit of the old lady starts to bother him as if she wants to tell him something, but she is afraid of him and goes out of the house. And as soon as she goes out of the house, she goes to the garden where she destroys all the plants, and she says she doesn't need any help. After that, when she comes to the kitchen, she sees that all the Shuaps have come there, and she asks them to run their hands as soon as possible. Then she asks him where are all the herbs that she is going to put in the dish. Then she lies to him that Sarah, who was her vendor, has run away. That's why now those herbs can't supply them. Now his Lucia is surprised by this and tells him that she cannot do such work with him. Now guests come there at night, and again she starts surveying the dishes. But without those herbs, the dish was not delicious. He also cuts off one of his fingers. Everyone is surprised to see it, and one of them he had put seafood in it, due to which a lady becomes allergic and she's about to die. But he brings an injection for her inside which saves her life. And because of this, all his guests leave. At night, Andre explains to Elena that he has been insulted by his actions and that no one wants to come to his restaurant anymore. The next morning, when Elena is baking, Alvin comes to meet her and tells her that he needs her in the kitchen. When he goes to the kitchen, he sees that everyone is already working. and he finds out that he has actually been fired from that job and Pelucia was put there in his place. Hearing this, she goes to talk to Andra in the basement where she tells him that today again she has called guests, but this time it's not Lucia who will cook the dish. Hearing this, she is shocked and tells him that he cannot do this, but he immediately locks her in the same basement and goes upstairs so that she can't interfere with Lucia's work at all. Only then Rena gets that secret door inside the basement from which she goes inside the call pose and she starts making people sound so that someone takes her out, but no one was going to hear her voice. We see that Marcelo was also there. To taste her dish, Rena arrives at the secret place where the spirit of the old lady wanted to tell her something, and when Rena asks her what she wants to say to her, that spirit drops a cupboard down where she sees that there is a pit. And when she goes inside that pit, she finds that old lady's dead body there. When Lucia was handling it, she was not handling anything, and all her dishes were becoming useless. When she wants to get out of that pit, suddenly that pit itself becomes blocked, due to which she starts going over the dead body of the old lady and sees a ring in her finger which had the same sign. When it comes to that corpse, his corpse shows him a vision, and try to find out who they were and what happened to them. The old lady tells him that they used to worship the soil because it gave them many things to eat. He had created a community where many women lived and treated the people with whatever medicines came out of that soil. So we were shown the starting scene in the film. Actually, he was not a sacrifice, but he was treating that lady, and after being treated, that lady also joins him. All of them were considered witches of the village because she did very different things, but she was not a witch, but she wanted to help those people with medicines. 3 days later, the villagers set fire to her house and killed her, and that lady came here and dedicated herself to the soil. Now you see that she wasn't really a witch. Her spirit was trying to tell her that if she connected with the soil would help her. Rena leaves the garden. When he sees the rabbit, he kills it. After that, she takes that rabbit in front of the guests, and when she tastes the dish from Marcel's plate, she spits it out and tells them that today she will make a dish and show them. He brings wood from the forest and sets it on fire. And a table is also placed there for all the guests, and when all the people sit there, she cooks rabbit meat, and with the help of those same plants, she makes that tea. And when she surveys those people, then after eating it, they are very surprised that Hughes was very good and everyone was licking their fingers. Rena understood that she should respect the soil. They come from the soil and the soil gives them everything, and with that, this movie ends here. So friends, this was the story of this film where it has been shown that soil gives us a lot. And those ladies they used to worship soil because they believe that they are born from soil and they have to be buried in soil. When Arena came to know this, she started respecting the soil, and that is why she used to get a lot of plants from that soil because they were very delicious, which she used in her dishes. So friends, what did you think of this movie? Let us know in the comments section. If you are new to the channel, subscribe to it and for bell icon notifications. And don't forget to like and share other videos. So I'll meet you in the next video. Until then, Jai Hind.